Hey, folks, this podcast is brought to you by King Arthur Capital Group. Fund your fight camp, showing fighters how to leverage credit and capital so they can treat their career like a business. Check out my interlude episode with David King Arthur McElroy, where we talk all about the services offered by King Arthur Capital Group. Follow them on Instagram at King Arthur Capital Group. And as I've stated before, very excited to share that information with as many people in the combat sports world as possible. Always a prevalent topic. So if you're a fighter looking to make your career work a little bit better for you, looking to treat your career more like a business, hit up King Arthur Capital Group and check out Fight Club Crate, mystery fight gear, knockout prices, undisputed value, combat sports boxes delivered monthly. Use my promo code TAPTHAT15 at Fight Club Crate for 15% off your first purchase. And follow those folks on Instagram at Fight Club Crate. Very cool stuff. And finally, a winner of a gift idea for the combat connoisseur in your life. And what is up, everybody? This is Brady Grove bringing you another interlude episode of the Tap That MMA podcast. We had UFC 328 now in the rear view. We got another UFC fight night coming up this week for my picks on all that stuff, all the other events going on in the combat sports world and more. Follow me on Twitter at RotoBrady, on Instagram at RotoBrady and Abraham. Follow the podcast at Tap That MMA podcast on YouTube and Spotify. And with me tonight, this is going to be an interesting conversation, especially given the way that the main event happened at UFC 328. Lots of relevance there. He might be frozen here for a second. Looks frozen. I'll keep talking until he's unfrozen. But this is a data analytical driven sports world that we live in now. People are always trying to, come up with ways to figure out what we aren't necessarily seeing with our eyes, trying to figure out the best way to get the edge, in the sports world and to optimize your own performance. And one of the people in that world with me tonight, I've got Abraham Diaz of Substats. Abraham just joined me from a different profile. He's thinking on his feet. Give it up for Abraham Diaz, folks, of Substats. Finally back with us. How's it going, man? Can't.
Once,
There we go. There we go.
hey, sorry about that. Zoom kicked me off at the most not great time. But hey, sorry about that. Hey, I'm back. How's it going?
Going good, man. I like the shirt. I love that you're repping the brand here tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is a brand new shirt, so I figured just got to start doing it.
So, like a quick thing, like before we get into the full thing of substats, like you take something like the main event of UFC 328 into account, like where you knew grappling offense, grappling defense was going to be a large part of it, and so much speculation went into how Sean Strickland was going to be able to defend the grappling of Hamza Chimaev, and we end up with as close of a decision as you could possibly get in the UFC. It was the judges were split, the media members were split, the fans were split. What did you make of the way that Hamza Chimaev was able to effectively grapple in certain and the rounds that Sean Strickland was able to defensively grapple? And hell, we ended up seeing Hamza Chimaev on his back in a round for the first time in forever. It was mind blowing.
Yeah, I think just that and like the fight as a whole kind of made it as like a shock to people. So yeah, I think both of those things happening in the same night. But yeah, no, Sean had great defense and Sean he didn't get mauled like most people do when they get when Shimai starts wrestling with them. So no, I think it was a good decision. I mean, Sean had most of the strikes, looked like he had most of the damage too on Shemaev, so I think that was good going to Sean,
It
my
was
opinion.
it was crazy. Like, leading up to the Dreykus fight, the whole thing was like, I mean, how do you keep Dreykus down? The dude's a freak of nature. He's got crazy strength and athleticism, and Hamza Chimaev had no problem with it. Sean Strickland is a guy that if you said years ago was ever going to be the middleweight champion even once for one day, people might not have believed you. And now the dude's a two-time middleweight champion, and his grappling defense really is of a different level, and he proved that on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you don't need to win in grappling, you just need to win the whole fight. So no, he did a great job.
So with substats, explain to the people exactly what substats is and what's your background, how you get into something like this.
Yeah, yeah, man. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate, opportunities like this when they come up. So I guess I'll start real quick at the beginning of Substat. So I got out of the Marine Corps August 2020. I was working and I was going to school in my MBA program. And then I had learned about data early in my MBA program, like business intelligence, business analytics. That was like one of the weeks in one of the first semesters, one of those classes. And then I learned about data, and then I was like, well, around the same time I started doing jujitsu again, I started training. So I decided like, well, why not just make like a project portfolio out of analyzing my own jujitsu data? And then that turned into like, well, I don't see anybody else doing that. So like I have these skills, I can do that. Long story short.
And like I said, you might have missed it when you were frozen, but it's like this is such a data and analytical driven era of sports where, everybody's looking to, we know what we can see, we know what we can figure out with the eye test, but there's so many things that we don't necessarily pick up with our eyes when we're trying to analyze our own performance, the performances of others. So everybody is looking for the data and analytics on their performance to, pick up that edge. And I think combat sports has probably been just like a little bit behind on that because for some sports, like it's a little easier to figure out where the mathematics come in. It's been a little harder in combat. It's easy in baseball where everything comes down to like tenths of percentages. That's the whole game. But it's something that people were slower to get into with combat sports because the goal of a fight is to win a fight, not necessarily, score a certain amount or whatever. But you're seeing, more camps, more fighters being analytical driven. Um, what are some of the things that what are some of the biggest things that have jumped out to you immediately since like starting substats and some of the things that you've kind of noticed?
Yeah, so I've noticed a lot just in like my own training as well when I was training at the time prior to my injury. That if you really track your data, like you can really kind of guide it to where you want to go, right? Like I wanted to be like pretty good for where I'm at. I didn't just want to like show up to class and rinse and repeat. And I figured, well, if I think that way, jujitsu grappling is data rich environment, why not create the ability for other individuals to analyze their own data as well.
And that's an interesting point because like it's always easy to think about it for like professional athletes. But you look at running, you look at just physical fitness in general, like the general populace is always looking to track their performance. But whether you're an amateur, a professional, you do it for fun, you exercise, whatever it is, people want to get better at the things that they're passionate about.
Exactly. And like, we all spend a lot of time training, doing jujitsu, grappling, being involved in some way. And like a business isn't going to, not understand how they're doing and how to get better. So same thing when it applies to like grapplers.
So what were some things that like the data said about your jujitsu, for instance?
Um, well, my last like 10 of 13 like in competition submissions were from like close guard, like triangle or armbar or some variation of that. And I was like, that's interesting because I like to like wrestle, be on top, but I would just find myself in that position. So then like, okay, I'm at this point where like this is consistent, so I should keep going down this path, like perfecting this, make sure I'm working on other things as well, maybe not get so locked in on one area. So I think it just allowed me to have a conversation with myself to be like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is, how to get better with what my data shows.
Right. And like, what do you do with the information? I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but like, what do you do with that information when it's like, I like to wrestle, I like to be on top. In my head, I think I'm going to be going for a lot more like arm triangles or like arm bars from, side control or from full mount, whatever. But then you end up getting a lot of submissions from guard. What do you do with that information then as like, do I put myself in more of a position of closed guard or do I figure out, what more to do when I have top control?
Yeah, no, that's same conclusions that I had um from that experience. And for me, it's just like, well, that's just data. I have to have a conversation. I can go left, I can go right with it. Just kind of depends on, what your goals are at the time and like, what your coach and your trusted advisor say.
And your Instagram page here, which folks follow Substats and
Thank you.
Abraham here at sub_stats. You've got some very interesting and visually pleasing graphics to look at on here.
I appreciate that, man. No, I've gotten a lot of compliments lately. I went to my buddy's event in Minnesota. Um, it's called Hubcap Productions. It was a Superfly 2026. The first time anyone's ever deployed like a live like analytics, like analyzing and categorizing moves during a live match, like computer vision model. So that was a great time up there, and a lot of people said that, hey, your content lately has been on fire. So like, it's absolutely no AI slop. It's like very thought out and like with Claude Code, like, hey, this is my style. This is what I want every time.
Yeah, and they look very unique. And like they have a personal touch to them. And yeah, we had discussed that Minnesota event when we talked on the phone before this, when we set this whole thing up. And so talk
Yeah.
a bit more about like what you were trying to accomplish with that and then how it actually went and being like, the first person to do something that, you got to think is going to catch on a lot more as, people are trying to measure their performance more.
Yeah, no. So shout out again to my buddy Hubcap. So he runs several events up there in that area, a Superfly and then Uncommon Classic in the fall. And no, I and like we're like partners in like developing grappling. He really believes in substance. He's like an early super fan, and he's given me a lot of opportunities to test things out. So for the computer vision, I had this crazy idea. It's just like this doesn't exist in professional grappling, right? You see it in NFL, NBA, some sort of analytical overlay. And before the PGF season, I started one on my own. I just did it. I just had claws to do it. So then I started like trying to classify all the moves. But at that time I was like, I can't do this on my own. I need a professional. So what my goal was at the event um was to basically just test it live. So we had all the code, we had everything to do it. I was there with my camera, my tripod, and it was just to collect data on how the model works. So stop right there. Sorry, vibing for a bit.
And like, are you pleased with the result of what you got out of it?
Um, I'm pleased that we did it, and I'm pleased. So I knew going in it wasn't going to be as accurate as I expected it to be. Totally fine. Because there's a lot of factors that go into it, like camera, height, angles, light, people that are standing up like during the match or the ref blocking it, or people in the crowds. So there was a lot that we learned about the process, and no, all good. It was a success overall, and already started for the next phase.
And it's interesting too because if folks don't know, there are some subtle yet very important rule differences between different grappling tournaments across the US.
Yeah,
So that like sometimes changes what you're trying to measure or what you like are hoping to see it or what you might see with different frequencies.
yeah, no, it's a very complicated tax to do in grappling, just because of the nature of the sport. But I figured, like, you know what, someone's got to do it, and I'm just going to be aggressive. And yeah, so got the first deployment done. We're on a real aggressive timeline by the end of the summer to have that from MVP to production ready.
And real quick, I want to screen share here so I can put
Please.
up the graphic that you put up of Strickland by the numbers in
Oh
the
yeah, dude, that's been blowing up. Like, I don't know if you can see my puppy in there for the first couple seconds.
I don't I don't know if we did. Um,
Yeah, you gotta really look and pay attention in the first couple seconds. You'll see my puppy on my shoulder. He's kind of flashing in and out.
but dude, like I love this how it tracks the movement and also like the points that you get out of it is like what was it? Chimaev landed 6 of 9 takedowns or whatever the numbers end up being, but Sean Strickland got up every single time. It's so crazy to think about, but watching it actually mapped out like this is a whole different experience. So, folks, take a look at this. Take a good hard look at how cool this looks.
Cool, right? I mean, it's like this still needs a lot of work and improvement, but I mean, pretty good for like a one shotter, you know?
Yeah, and just to pull up a couple other things just to
Um,
show folks what I
Go
was talking
down
about.
to the next one. There's another one.
But which
The
one?
video. Down.
Video.
Oh, down. Substats change game.
Ah, yes.
That
Oh,
one.
look at this. Oh, that's cool. I love how it's up on a stage too. That's sick.
Yeah, so that was at my buddy's event, Superfly 2026. It was a great event. Well, almost 50% of the grapplers were debuters under his event. He's had like five or six events now. Over 50% submission rate. Predictions were about 63% this event for predicting who would win. Um, so
Wow.
yeah, no, yeah, doing a lot of exciting stuff with data, man. It's I get really pumped up to talk about this. So excuse me if I go on like a huge
Yeah,
rant.
no, it's awesome. And I mean, just as a fan of combat sports and grappling, I love how they did it on a stage in the middle of the room like that. That was awesome. Very Jean-Claude Van Damme of them.
Yeah, no, they were setting up like they had like a whole team of dudes building like custom like wood and lighting to put lights up and stuff. Like they built everything they needed themselves. Um, so yeah, no, it was a great event as always. And oh, I gave out $100 like a huge check for fastest submission of the night. So that was
Oh,
pretty cool.
cool.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty cool to give out. If like I have one, just like a check from like because I want a match, but like to give out something like that, like God, Lil Wolf, he was super pumped, and I was really pumped to give it to him. So yeah, we'll see what I can come up with next time. I'm thinking maybe like a main event belt next time. We'll see. But yeah, so
And so, like, are there any people that like who are in the UFC or like in the top levels of the fight game that like you appreciate watching their grappling more than others?
let's see. I really like Charles's just whole style. Like I love his grapplings. Yeah, I like wrestling, like so Cuban wrestler Frank Chimizo. I love his scrambles, just like he's just like a scrambling guy. It's fun to watch. So those are two top of the head.
There's so many interesting facets of grappling. Like people, people might think it comes down to just wrestling and just your jujitsu, but like take a factor like that about somebody, like they're just like crazy good scramblers. Like what again to keep going back to it because it's so recent and relevant is like the way how like you take what Hamza Chimaev was able to do to so many people. How with Robert Whitaker so quickly he got on the back and basically like cracked Robert Whitaker's jaw and made his
Yeah,
teeth
as
like
well.
a bloody in such short time and people just wilt under that pressure. And you start to think like Hamza Chimaev, like this guy is a person, sure, but not really a human being. Like what stops someone like that? And you come to think that about a few different UFC champions, but then a guy like Sean Strickland is able consistently to keep getting up to having a knee up, getting back up, on the cage. And Hamzat had his back. Hamzat was threatening with submissions, and Sean Strickland just kept doing what he needed to do to defend against that rear naked choke. I that was one of the most mind blowing parts to me. Is like when it got to that point for everybody else throughout the history of Hamzat Chimaev's career, that is game over. And Sean Strickland fought the hands like, he's the only person that has ever satisfied Daniel Cormier in terms of how much he has fought the hands in that period of time.
Yeah, no, it was and it was interesting because like he beat the guy that beat him twice, Strickland, Duplessis. So it's interesting how like that whole circle is just like he beats this guy beats me, you beat him, but I beat you. So it's like this weird triangle.
Fight
Um,
math, like who wins and who loses, is always just like it makes your brain spark because, like for instance, Rose Namajunas 2-0 against Weili Zhang, 2-0 against oh I was um 2-0 against she's like my favorite fighter of all time, and I keep wanting to call her Jasmine Jasduvicius because it's sort of close to that. Dude, the Polish here.
oh, Forgot.
I, I gotta Google it real quick. I cannot believe my mind is blanking on this so hard. She's like my favorite fighter of all time. But anyway, then Rose Namajunas fights Carlos Esparza twice and loses both times. Carlos Esparza fights Weili Zhang twice and um and gets obliterated. Or fight, the wins and losses between different people. It's like sometimes you just have someone's number. And
Yeah,
right,
exactly. Right. Sometimes it's like, you just take, yeah, they just got your number or you got theirs.
dude, Joanna and J Chick, like why was that escaping me so hard? Jesus Christ. Okay, so with that, what is your goal for Substats? Like, how are you looking to expand? Tell people what services you offer and what like the product is like right now, and
Yeah,
where you want to take this.
no, for sure, man. That no, so my plan is world domination.
I
Um,
love to
yeah,
hear
no,
it.
I No, at the time I in the jiu-jitsu world when I first mixed these two data and grappling together, I saw no one like offering these services, and that really motivated me to put it out there. And where we're at today, I'm analytics partner with PGF, looking to be analytics partner with other grappling organizations around the country. Provide matchmaking, commentary sheets in the summer we'll be able to provide broadcast ready computer vision for individual grapplers. We have grappler portal where your data can get analyzed, and we're working on a portal for the gym as well. So anything analytics related for the grappling community, where it's like promoters, event organizers, individual grapplers, coaches, substats can serve you.
And so, if people are looking to give it a try, is it like an application that they download off a website? Like, how do they access it?
Yeah, so if you go to substats.app, you can sign up for the portal there. There's not like an app in the App Store per se, but you can log into your portal there. It's best to use like a computer browser or depending on where your videos are, as long as you can access the portal, upload your videos, browser, mobile, it's good to go. And then we also have grappler cards. Um, a lot of people like the grappler cards I made for the PGF this season, so I just decided to make them for everyone as well. So I have cards as well at cards.substats.app.
Now, is this something too that you see expanding into like analyzing people's striking, or is that just not as much like where you like to take it, or is that something you could see?
I feel like it's a natural progression. There's a lot of striking computer vision models like that out there already, and I've already been messing around with them on my own. So I'm locked in on the grappling right now, on like grappling gi, no gi, whatever. But I think MMA is a natural next step. We just got to really lock because grappling is the hardest part of it, and once we get that locked down, um, transition to MMA should not be very difficult.
And I think from a business perspective for you, I think grappling makes a lot more sense of where to start because there's probably less of it. And I think there's a lot more people out there that are casual amateur practitioners of jujitsu that are also looking to increase their performance. Again, kind of in the realm of like running, cycling, kind of stuff like that. There's a lot less like people out there that are like 40-year-old professors or whatever that are also like kickboxing and Muay Thai all the time and are looking to analyze their performance. But there's a ton of people in the United States doing jujitsu like that on that level.
Yeah, and a lot of people take their training seriously, Um, and some people might want to be more data heavy, and some people might have other ways, and that's fine too. But there's a market for it. Like I see other data jujitsu AI companies popping around, which is good. That means there's a market for it, and people can have options. But yeah, my goal is just to substats be number one world domination and providing grappling analytics support. Grapplers, organizations. And definitely, I think we're getting somewhere with the computer vision at live events. So,
And I love your attitude about it because like yeah, like competition is a good thing. because now you just have to be better than the competition. And you, sir, sound like that's what you want and that's what your goal is.
Yeah, no, it's for honestly, with my like knee surgery and stuff and just life in general, I kind of like let substats go by the wayside a bit, believe it or not, a while ago. And then, last summer I was just like, you know what? No, I gotta quit, cut the crap, and we got to start moving. So ever since last summer, I've been cranking away at this pretty
Folks,
hard.
this has been a conversation with Abraham Diaz of Substats. Again, go follow Substats on Instagram at sub
Please
underscore
do.
stats. Give it a look. If it's something you're interested in, you want to track your performance in grappling, give it a download. Try to start to track yourself on that. And Abraham, thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm really glad we got to do this. And if there's anything else you want to say or anybody you want to shout out, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, my buddy James Hubman, like I said, back in Minnesota, deploying the computers and live wouldn't have happened without him, and just all my supporters, my day one people, and individuals like yourself. I appreciate it, Brady. Allowing me to come on here for a bit and you know blab about Substats. So thank you again.
No, for like I love all the unique products and services and companies that are coming up in combat sports today. That's why I hit you up at first. I was like, "Oh, what is this? I'd love to talk to you about this."
Oh, one more thing. Sorry, before we forget. Promo code 10% off anything at Substats Grappler Portal using tap that for that's your promo code. So tap that one word.
But yeah, Substats. That's going to be another partner of the podcast moving forward. Can't wait to share that promo code and information about Substats before every single episode. Abraham, thank you so much for being here tonight. It's been a
Thank
fascinating
you, sir.
conversation. And folks,
Yes.
thank you so much for listening. Have yourselves a great week and peace.
Peace out.